I decided to come back and talk about what a lot of people have already probably been talking about, and that is the Kevin Durant, James Harden duo back together again. I'm not going to rag on Harden's thing about leaving the Rockets because everyone's done that, and I rag on the Rockets a lot, so I'm going to put that to rest for today. So initially I was kind of surprised, not really angry, just a little taken back. Even though I don't think it was a smart move by Harden, I think that something great happened because of it with Karis LeVert finding out if you haven't already heard, the cancerous cyst that he had, wishing him a speedy recovery, and this trade essentially saved his life. So that's fantastic that happened. But focusing on the Harden Durant aspect of things. So I wanted to start by talking about their past. I think that there's genuinely someone in the NBA front office who really wants the boys to be back together, because this is just a duo we've seen time and time again. The first time Harden and Durant were on the same team was 2009 when Harden was drafted into the NBA in Oklahoma, and he was traded in 2012 to the Rockets. They got as far as the finals, didn't win, but I think of it too as, Harden was really young then, and Oklahoma had to have seen Harden as the weakest link to keep Westbrook and Durant there and then leave him to fend for himself in Houston. I don't know at that time if I would say that's the right decision with what transpired eventually in the future with, Durant leaving eventually and Westbrook being by himself, and then, nobody is still in Oklahoma anymore. I just think that I kind of agree with what Oklahoma did, though, because the relationship that Durant and Westbrook had, to me, was a lot stronger than that with Harden for obvious reasons. I mean, a lot of people perceive them as these, best buddies and stuff at the time. They're doing all their fashion thing together. And Harden was just the third wheel, and he left, in my opinion, to become a franchise player for Houston, and didn't really amount to much, honestly, but, he was an all-star still. And then, presently speaking, I don't know the personalities of, what I've seen with Harden playing with Chris Paul. Not that Westbrook, I don't really know how great of a teammate he was. He worked well with Durant, but I don't really know how other people feel about him. But you've seen Harden's fits and the way he gets. I think him and Kyrie together is just an accident waiting to happen. I also don't really know what Kyrie is when he plans to return, but I just don't see them really joining forces, being on the same page. They had some, they're doing okay so far. They lost the Cavaliers. That doesn't sound like they're doing okay, but at the same time, everyone's kind of had some throwaways so far. Okay, so a fun fact is that I recorded this video, I think 3 weeks ago, and so a lot of stuff has had time to just I've had time to see if what I thought was true, and other than the fact that I'm saying that I didn't know when Kyrie's going to come back, Kyrie's back now, I've already heard them arguing, and Kyrie's calling them average, and they're just, history is going to repeat itself. I'm not against, I don't know how to say this. I wouldn't say that I'm technically against all-stars forming this super team thing. Obviously it works, so what am I going to do? There's no evidence that it's not a good idea. But I just feel that this particular group, we saw, so what I said before, we saw Durant and we saw Westbrook in Oklahoma. Then we saw Westbrook and Harden in Houston. We saw how that worked out. And then now we're seeing Durant and Harden together again. And we've tried the trio, obviously, with all three of them together. Out of all of these combinations that we've tested with these groups, none of them have resulted in a championship. So I would say that the prior knowledge that we have would show that this is not going to work. The only time any of them won a ring, Durant won his 2 rings with the Warriors, but that's, I say by himself, but not really. He went with freaking Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, so he had a very stacked roster, great coach with Steve Kerr. And no offense to Steve Nash, but Kyrie thinks he's the coach over there and that they're all going to take turns and they're just going to do some, like, horse basketball or something. I don't know what he has planned. But I don't really see Nash being able to control Harden. I don't see him being able to control Kyrie. It just sounds like a really bad situation. That's just my prediction. The future of the Nets, I'm just thinking that maybe... okay, actually, this is going to be something that makes or breaks me, because then I'm going to watch this and then everyone's going to laugh in my face. I think that the Nets could make the finals because they're in the East. But winning a championship, no. And it is kind of... I know that's sketchy to say because they're going to have Durant, but ultimately... Actually, Durant's... How old? Okay, Durant's 32. He's coming off his injury. He's doing well right now. Yeah, I'm going to say that I don't see this group ever winning a championship with Harden there. And maybe that's because I don't want to see Harden win a championship because he left Houston high and dry, which is pretty remarkable for me to say because I'm not a Houston fan by any means, but I still think that the way he left them was not great. But yes, I see them going as far as the conference finals, and then making it all the way to the finals and then not going to win. They might even bring Westbrook back to go to the finals again and lose. And that is essentially all I have to say. I'm sorry, this was not super thorough analysis. I want to get back to that. But just something to put out there. Haven't done this in a while. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.